I do think life has meaning. I think that health and being happy and working towards something is the meaning of life. But I think if you don't have something to work towards, whether it's a person or a thing or just self betterment, then I don't think life would have meaning.
Yes, I think I have meaning in my life. Meaning in my life would be like what I choose to do, and I believe meaning in anyone's life is what they choose to do.
I think life has meaning. Whether well, it depends on like who you are and like what you're doing because like obviously what you work for and like what you're striving for in life is different from like your neighbors. So for me personally, I think there is meaning to life, and like I think I guess the definition of meaning of life would have to be like if there's something you're working for, like something that's worth your time and your effort to like continue living. Like some people say that they have no purpose in life, so they'd rather just die. And like they'd be okay if they were like killed at that moment. And for those people, there are things that matter to them so much that like they wouldn't take their own life, or like they would care if someone tried to kill them. Like some people would fight, and I think that's what the meaning of life is, like what you would fight for.
To me, a synonym for meaning would be value and relevance and significance. And this quote by Shakespeare kind of says that, to me, it says, like, no, it doesn't really have meaning. It's just a bunch of noise and it doesn't really mean anything. But I think that it does have meaning. And there's a quote, I think it was from Buddha, that the meaning of our life is in how we serve others and how we make life better for others. And so I think our meaning is from our collective experience. Like we don't really have meaning on our own, but we have meaning in our relationships with other people and how we serve them and help them. And that's what stays here after you die is the legacy that you've left of the lives that you've influenced and the because those lives in turn influence other lives. So I know anyway.
So I do think that for the most part, we have control over our futures. I think if you have a goal and you work hard towards it, you can achieve that goal, work towards what you want. However, I think that's for the most part. I think there are outside forces. Sometimes health gets in the way. Just things you cannot control get in the way. Um, but for the most part, yes, I do think you have control of your future.
I think it's both. Like, I think, oh, sometimes my decisions will like lead me to a different future that I choose. And there are times when I listen to others and think, oh, this is for my future. They have just chosen my fate.
I think to some extent you do have um, the ability to control your fate. Like obviously, the amount of hard work you put into whatever you're doing will be a factor in like what happens and what the results are. But in the end, if it's not meant to be that way, then life won't have it be like that. For example, like say you're trying out for a competition and you work really hard for it and you're like, oh, I'm set, like this is really good. It doesn't matter how hard you work for it because if the person you're competing against is better than you, there's nothing you personally can do about that. And I feel like life and your fate is like the same. Like no matter how hard you work, if that's not what was supposed to happen, it won't happen.
I don't think it's like a yes or no question. I think that I have influence in my future and other things have influence in my future. And so some of those things are genetics and just people's influence on me and my life. And so, do I think there's some outside force controlling my future? Not in a like puppet kind of sense, but I do think there are a lot of things a lot of forces that contribute to what my future is going to be.
I identify most with Lucky's quote, for reasons unknown, but time will tell. I say this because in my own life, I've had to wait for a few things, and time really did help me, and it did tell what was going to happen next. So that's why I chose this quote.
In a minute, there is time for decisions and revisions, which a minute will reverse. There's plenty of time to make a decision because you can always make it later on.
I choose a quote, there's no changing the past, so forget about it and move on, because yeah, a person can have regrets on whatever they do. They'll look back and be like, oh, why did I do that? But there's nothing you can do about changing it. Like, no matter how much you dwell on it, there's nothing that will ever change that. And like, the more time you spend dwelling on what happened in the past, the more time you're wasting in the present and the future. So for me, I don't understand why you would think about like what has already happened and something you can't change if that can affect the kind of future you would have.
I've always loved this quote. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, etc., etc. It is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. I identify with that because quite often in life there's lots of noise and commotion, and so I always think of that phrase about things being full of sound and fury, but really not really meaning anything. And then more taking the quote, the larger part of the quote, so much of life is just all this performance and just following the script, and what meaning does it have?